What's up, my Valiantpreneurs? Welcome back to another episode of Valiant Volumes. I'm one of your hosts, Makayla Mitchell, and with me I have.
Dan Spottsville, CEO and founder of Valiant Digital. What's up, Mac?
Hello, happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
I am really excited about the new year. I know we just filmed our New Year episode a week or so ago.
Yes.
What's new since then? I know you've had a lot of big changes.
A lot of different changes.
What's going on?
Still trying to get warmed up.
It's chilly outside. Wasn't there
is.
ice on your car this morning?
There was. Yeah, it just took forever to ice off the ice. I put water on it, and that didn't work this morning. So.
Why did you put water on it?
I don't know. But to answer your question, yeah, a lot has been happening in just a few short days of, this new year, and a lot of positive things, I would say. Something that sticks out to my mind is, I know we'll get into it a little bit today, but when we did move into officially move into the new office, and it was cool to see some of our team members look at the office and be like, oh shit, this is kind of cool.
Well, what's even cooler is that
just the vibe.
I mean, with the office space, we were able to have some of the walls painted, have wallpaper added to it. We've
Black walls, of course.
Yep, and some gray brick wallpaper. We're gonna
Yep.
have some cool graffiti pop art wallpaper, neon signs that are Valiant Digital, Valiant Volumes.
Which
some
we got
cool
up,
heads that are neon that can
We're
have
gonna
the
put these hats on there. Yeah.
And then whenever there were people walking by the office, because
They were breaking their necks yesterday.
no kidding.
You know what I
So we
mean?
have windows on both sides and there's doors on either side. And I heard somebody yesterday, right before we left, he looked in and said to the other person, damn, how do we get our office to look like that? And the funny thing is, we're nowhere close to being
Done.
really done.
Yeah.
But all it is
Lighting. It's lighting.
Yeah, because we turned off the overhead lights and we had different lamps at each desk.
Yeah,
so
different styles of lamps that we chose. Shout out to IKEA because we bought IKEA lamps, but it looks super legit.
And TaskRabbit, because that is I didn't realize this, but IKEA actually purchased TaskRabbit, put it underneath their own brand during COVID, when everyone was just buying and building stuff. And you get any freelance type of handyman, basically, who can come and build all your IKEA furniture. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be IKEA specific, but they have all the instructions that they need, and it was really efficient for us because we could do what we wanted to do while we had all of our stuff built.
Right. No, that's cool. I'm very excited though because when you did turn off the lights yesterday, and I walked in after my one-on-one with, I think it was Ishmael or Hayden. I was like, dang, it's a good vibe.
Yeah.
It feels like a digital marketing agency vibe.
Yeah. What did you say? This is ad building room. This is this is ad build setting.
Yeah, because I do know the workspace matters. You know what I mean? Because I know when I get into my flow, it is really dim the lights, play some what is it, lo-fi music?
Yeah.
Or what's the type of music was it, homebody music? What type of music is that?
Yeah, we've really been into Kenya Grace,
Yeah,
and one
okay,
of the
that sort of vibe.
DJ guys is Homebody, and so we did a Spotify playlist of that. Got the mood setting, it's chill.
That's a chill vibe, and it kind of puts me in a flow state, especially with different neon lights inside the office, and then being able to just talk to our team about putting an ad on the big screen in the middle of the office, and then talking through it. So I really think we're gonna crank out some great work in the next 90 days.
It makes you want to be there.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I mean, that was the whole intent. So I mean, we're hybrid, but I can see myself being there literally more often than not, just because I feel I'm creating this little cave.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Well,
anyways,
the thing you've always said from the beginning is you want to create this little playground
that's what it's getting
for people to build and have fun and do what they love to do, and you've just actually created the literal playground for them in there.
yeah. It's only gonna get bigger. So
Hell yeah. What else has started the new year? You're hiring new team members, right?
yeah. Oh yeah. So we are. Look, man, we're blessed, and I'm super grateful. We've been put in a pretty good position in the last, I think 6 to 8 months. I mean, obviously it has to do with a lot of the fact that the team worked hard. Without the sales, there's no back end team. Without the back end team, there is no sales. So, I mean, it works hand in hand, and, the team's been working really hard the last, 6 to 8 months. And it's all of that work that we put in last year in 2023 that we're starting to reap the rewards from even more now. So with that being said, new clients are coming on board. at a pretty rapid pace, but still like a steady flow pace to where we can make sure that the quality's there. But that also means like adding in new team members. So like, look, even last month, like we had, over 100 leads without us changing anything on the campaign that we're running on LinkedIn. And 90% of our leads come from LinkedIn for our agency, So not changing anything. We had a lot of leads, which means we can crank that up, get more sales. So we have a position open for a salesperson. More clients means more account management. So copywriter/account manager. And then naturally you need more ad builders. So there's another ad building like senior marketer that's open. So there's 3 positions that's actively open, if you're watching this. And if you are interested and you're a marketer, and if you like what it is that we do here, then you should certainly apply. Go to LinkedIn or reach out to us at hello@valiantdigital.com or me directly on LinkedIn. Just look me up. Look up my name.
Dan Spottsville, CEO. I think that's what it still is.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, so those are things that happen.
We kind of talked about this last week, but kind of bleeds into the hiring thing today about how like whenever you're working with a new team member, sometimes they have like a different background of like where they've learned stuff. So like as you're hiring people now, are you specifically looking for people who have agency experience or kind of fresh out of college or more senior? Like what does that look like?
Great question. Right now, like, what Valiant Digital needs, it always depends on what the needs of the agency are, right? So like certain positions allows us to hire people like that are straight out of college. Other positions require people with experience and agency background. So with that being said, like right now for the marketer, we need somebody that has agency background and are actively building ads, because at the rate that we're building, at the level that we're building these pretty complex digital marketing campaigns, you have to know a lot of different things to be able to just come in here and do the work. You know what I mean? So that position requires experience. And even on the account management side requires experience, because the people that you're talking to are C-level executives for the most part. So if you don't know how to talk to these people, if you don't understand how they are, how they operate, and the lingos that they use sometimes, like it'll be a difficult position. So this account management / copywriter position also requires some knowledge. The only position that doesn't require any experience really is a sales position, because we can teach the sales like from the ground up. And actually, like that's how I started in my career. And sales is a great way to get your foot in the door into an organization, learn about the products and services that they sell or offer or educate them, the potential clients on, and work your way through an organization. It's a great gateway, I personally think, to get into any type of business or any type of company that you have your eyes on.
Yeah, that makes sense. While you were talking, that actually reminded me. How is the client that you talked about last week who had a pretty big ad spend budget? How's that going?
You want to know?
I do, yeah. We haven't talked about it since.
Yeah, so if people are listening right now that haven't listened to our previous podcast, we talked about a current capital raise that we're doing that we spent about $150,000 in 1 month, and just on advertising spend on one platform, which generated thousands of leads, millions of video views. Because I posted it on my Insta today, just kind of like some stats on it. So millions of views, thousands of clicks. They've generated a lot of money from the money that they spent. So obviously there's a return on their $150,000 ad spend. But just 2 days ago or a day ago? No, it was yesterday. Okay. Yeah, yesterday I got a call from the client and said, hey, look, you guys spent $150,000 on this ad account. This month, actively today, we've already increased the ad spend, and they want us to spend $1 million on capital raise marketing this month, which we're cranking up. So to get to $1 million, you got to spend $35,000 a day. That's how much we're spending.
That's insane.
It's insane, because your average client for capital raise typically spends like anywhere from like $8K to maybe like $20K.
Yeah.
But they're spending $35,000 a day, so that hits about $1 million this month. But they want to spend $1 million.
And what is their reasoning behind it? Like
the reasoning is the current campaign's working, so they have to raise a significant amount of money. To raise a significant amount of money, it doesn't necessarily require $1 million, because we've raised millions on money a lot less than that, right? But the $1 million spending that ensures that you raise your 15 or 20 or 25 or $30 million.
Yeah.
Just because because now at this point, $35,000 a day, they're probably going to get like 800 to 1,000 investors opting in daily.
That's insane.
Right now they're at 200, at least the minimum of like 200 investors a day, maybe a little bit more than that, but they're going to jump up to like 1,000 investors, close to, if not, like we should be surpassing 1,000 investors per day.
I have so
coming
many,
in.
I have so many questions. I mean, part of it, like,
Question away.
Part of it bleeds into like what size of team do they have, or like the automation, or were they working with an agency before, and how do you start taking that over? Like, where do you want to begin?
Yeah, I want to be upfront. Like, like what allows us to spend this much money on one ad account in 30 days just really has to do the repetition that we've spent. The most I've really spent on an ad account up until this day is 500,000 in a month. So, doubling that, once you get like, you're spending 100,000 a month or 200,000, it's not a big deal to scale it to like $1 million. So we already have an experience to do it. But what's really required is like, it's not that hard on our side to be able to scale it. You just got to know what you're doing, right? Like you really have to know what KPIs you're looking at, what variables you're changing, what type of ads you're running, whether it's traffic ads, conversion-based campaigns, video views, lead generation, and the combination of other type of campaigns to be able to spend that budget wisely. But in conjunction with that, what's really important is that the client is ready and they have the team members to be able to handle the amount of investors coming through that funnel and those advertising, campaigns that we're running. So I know he beefed up his investor relations team to like 10 people.
Oh, wow.
But I still think that should be enough, because you're filtering out through like investors that want to invest right now to 2 weeks from today. So like that should be enough. But I think he's going to quickly find that even at 10 people, you're going to need maybe some other hands in addition to what he has now, maybe within the next week or two. But, automation, we really do heavily rely on automation when it comes to like the follow-up process with these investors that are, showing signs and indicating that they're interested. And when I say show signs and they're interested, they're filling out forms online or on the website or a landing page, providing our client with their first name, last name, email, phone number, and how much they're looking to invest and how soon they're looking to invest.
I know we went pretty in depth last week with like the automation and AI capabilities of Valiant. Can you talk more like high level about what you would even maybe recommend for a situation like this, or what you're doing with this?
Yeah. So automation is pretty standard for this. The client in this situation, the client already had an automation software in place. So they're sending out text messages in a certain cadence. Emails, and then there's another thing called voice drop. So these are like automated messages that's typically like 20 to 45 second long that goes into a person's phone without it ringing. So they're doing those three things as an automation follow-up. And I think the automation process, don't quote me on this, but I think it spans out to like 2 weeks of like automation follow-up, the way they have it currently set up. We obviously helped with some of the messaging and like, hey, you should have this type of message on day 1 or day 2 or day 3, and you should do a text message here, email here, kind of thing. So we kind of help them structure some of that stuff. But we do here at Valiant, that I mentioned on a previous episode, AI-driven automation software. So it's called Luna. And what Luna does, and by the way, that's my dog's name. That's why I call it Luna.
Got it.
I just have to throw that in there. But what Luna does in a nutshell, one, we can target people on LinkedIn. So for example, like if you're doing a lead generation campaign, or if you're looking to raise capital, insert the job title and the industry or the income of the individual that you want to target on LinkedIn or any other platform. It'll connect with that individual automatically. Once they connect, automated messages that are AI driven will be sent to that individual. And also simultaneously, that software will pick up that person's email and send a very AI driven email. And then from there, it'll also send a email, AI driven text message. But let me kind of break this down though. So when I say like AI driven text message, it used to be that you have to say when a lead comes in, you send text 1 on day 1, and then text 2 on day 2, and then text 3 on day 5 or something like that, right? Yeah. But right now, the way the AI driven text messages and software is set up is it sends one text message as soon as the lead comes in, and then it'll have a conversation with that individual, no matter where that individual takes the conversation. So if person A comes in and we send a text saying, hey, thanks for interest in learning more about XYZ investment opportunity, and the person says, yeah, can I schedule a time to speak with one of your investor relations team or you on Thursday at 9:30? They'll say, sure, here's a Calendly link, here, schedule a time. And if the person doesn't respond in a certain time frame or whatever, it'll respond back and be like, hey, are you still there? Do you still want to schedule a time? So it'll have a conversation. Now, if person B comes in and says, hey, Can you tell me a little bit more about the investment opportunity? The AI will basically say like, yep, I certainly can, John. Here's a link to our investor pitch deck or the landing page to learn about, what it is that we do. And let's say a day later, this person says, hey, look, I saw some of the information. Are there videos or something that you can share? The AI will send the YouTube link. And then if the person comes back and says, hey, look, next Monday, I do have an opening at like 2:30 in the afternoon. Are you guys available? The AI will look at the schedule that's open on the current calendar for our investor relations team and say, hey, look, actually, John, 2:30 is not available, but we do have a 3 o'clock open. Would that time work for you? And then when John responds and says yes, it'll direct them to the Calendly link and schedule the time. So it's like having a person on your side that is doing all the grunt work for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This might be a curveball, but what happened? I just haven't thought of this until now. But what happens whenever the person that's responding to AI asks to talk to like a live person? Does it automatically send them the number or like loop them into the
you can have it set up
you
can have it set up in two ways. That's a great question, actually. So if the person on the other side is talking to this AI driven software and says, hey, I want to talk to somebody, it'll say, yep, give us a call. Here's the number to the investor relations team. I'm actually the person that's only actually setting up the appointments. Here's the number you can call, and it'll send it, right? It'll send the number and the person can call. Or they can say like, hey, I can connect you there, and then it'll dial it and then connect them. Like I'll do like a live transfer. So like it does like whatever you want it to do. Like AI is insane at this moment. And if you know how to use the technology, I mean, the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Literally.
I was listening to a podcast recently and they were trying to debunk, if maybe that's not the right way to say it, but like they couldn't figure out if something that was released recently was actually like done by that artist. Like if it was AI actually like replicating, I think it was Kanye actually, like there was a song that came out and it sounded like him. He did the little breath work in between things, but like the lyrics made sense as he would write that, but they really genuinely could not figure out if it was like AI or like the actual artist, and Kanye hadn't said anything. So like
it's crazy where AI, look, even 6 months ago, I saw like AI driven softwares taking the voice of like rappers and like, songwriters and singers and creating a completely different type of song. And then, it came out like, I don't know, I think it was like last summer. So like 6 months ago, but the technology of AI voice and just like everything about the technology that's involved in AI has changed so drastically in 6 months. You couldn't tell the difference really 6 months ago. I promise you, like right now, you can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
I told you, like I picked up a phone from an AI phone call, and I couldn't tell if it was a human being or I thought it was a real person. It just sounds like a real person at this point.
Yeah.
There's no glitches in their conversations. I mean, there's none of that.
I wonder like when the switch is going to be made to where rather than us being like, oh, I'm talking to a robot, or like it's just the chat support or whatever, when this switch is going to happen to where we actually like value it as being like our assistant. So like, for example, I think you showed me a video of like where there were robots actually pumping gas.
Yes.
Right. And so it's like, okay, thank you. You're my assistant robot. Right. Thank you for like
in the back seat. They get out and do it.
No, maybe they're just like standing at the pump because like there are actually states that it's illegal to pump your own gas. So you have an attendant do it, but now we replace it with a robot. What if we replace like the initial sales conversation to really just like vet out what you need to accomplish?
It's already there
as like a robot. Maybe you get on like a Zoom call and it is a fake AI robot trying to tell you what to do and get to the right place. But when are we going to actually change the switch of like, oh, give me a real person to, oh, thank goodness I can like find all the little things out. Thank you, robot, for being my assistant, for being my butler, like however you want to look at it. But like all the futuristic movies, like when is that switch going to happen?
Yeah, I think there's pros and cons. I think the biggest thing is like if when the point comes where you truly can't tell the difference, I think at that point, I don't predict the future, but like I personally don't mind just talking to an AI because I'll get all the information that I need. So like I won't run into those challenges, right? Depending on what it is. I'm not saying everything, but depending on what it is, I won't run into those like, oh, I don't know the answer, or like, oh, let me get back to you. So like I look at it from like a time saving perspective. You know what I mean? Like if I ask it anything, it'll tell me anything.
Yeah.
And it's just like Google. I can't even say steroids. It's like Google on another planet. Like,
yeah. Well, I know that like whenever I use AI or if I'm in like in a chat room with something, I always feel like my situation that I'm coming to the table with is so unique that like I need to talk to a person, because there's no way that like technology could answer it, right? Because it's always some specific situation that like I've encountered that I don't think they'll have a prompt to. So like in your situation, implementing AI for either yourself or your clients, like does the system learn all the different cadences that like people bring up to it?
That is what AI is at the core, right? So like it learns conversation, it learns everything. So what matters to make this type of software work is the amount of data that you can input to it to begin with. It already has a bunch of data, right? From wherever, depending on like how you built this AI software. But then you start to insert your own conversations, like scripts. You know what I mean? So like, for example, like imagine all the thousands of Zoom calls that we've had. And like the questions that everybody asks. I guarantee you that there's 20 common questions that our potential clients are asking. But if I take those Zooms, turn it into a script and insert it into the software, it will remember every single conversation, every single question, and then be able to, within milliseconds, if somebody asks any of those similar questions, respond back. But then also to be able to think for itself and respond in a way that it'll get to the goal of which is to schedule a call with one of our sales team members. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Can you touch on like what the experience is like for your clients to be able to give your platform like all this technology or all this like information so it's customized for their raise?
Yeah. It really doesn't change much more. Like what we would have to do is dig a little bit deeper, meaning like we would ask them for like their Zoom recordings or like, have them record like, conversation, making sure that they're asking permission, right? With their potential investors that they've been talking to, or conversations that they have with a potential lead. Make sure they're recording it, and we'll take that recording, turn it into a script, which takes like 10 seconds to do, and then just insert that into the software. So like we already know like how to cater this software to all of our clients. I mean, I just don't want to give everything away, but like that's how we do it.
So it's not super like a grueling process to go through.
Imagine, so what does the training look like right now for most like, companies, right? Whether it's a lot of businesses have sales and lead generation, departments, right? So what does the training consist of? They watch a video, they listen, they click on things, they got to regurgitate it, make sure like, there's multiple choice questions. You know what I'm talking about. But take that training, just turn it into words on a Word document, which is, again, easy because every training is video, which means videos have voice. So take that. You can actually take the entire video, just upload it, and it knows everything that you just uploaded. Damn. So, like, what used to take a human being, like, you said,
couple weeks to train. It's like,
not even a couple of weeks. Like, the little nuances you don't learn, like, for a couple of months because you don't remember all of this. Yeah. But the AI is able to remember everything that you input into it and respond back accordingly to the questions that a potential client or a potential lead is asking.
That's amazing. Like I don't even know what else to say.
Yeah, like that's why like a lot of people are afraid of their, I think it ties into like job security and all of that. But simultaneously, look, I know there's gonna be certain jobs obsolete because I know how the technology works. Like at a higher level than I think your average person that's listening to this or that's not into tech or whatsoever. Like call centers, like there's no reason to have, like call centers was a thing. It still is. But like if you have 1,000 people at your call center and you take because they record all their recordings, right? Okay. I'm not giving this away or anything, but because you should, if you have a call center, you should already be doing this. I think you take all of your recording from the last 5 years, you insert it into the AI software. And then when somebody calls, it's going to know what to say. Yeah. Like, how would it not know? You have millions of recordings that you put in there. And the next customer that calls you today at 9:36 is not going to ask you any different question than what everybody else has been asking you. They're going to ask you the same 50 questions or 20 questions or 100 questions, like whatever, insert whatever number. But that question has been answered by somebody on your team before.
Yeah, it's been said before.
And asked before.
Okay,
but if you do that, I'm not saying you cut the entire workforce. What you do is like, you don't need 100 people, right? You don't need like shift rotating, right? You don't have to have the night people, like, what is it, overnight shifts? You would like, if you're a 24-hour call center, you wouldn't need that anymore, right? And then what you do is like you change that and put it into a different type of job description, like AI prompter. I mean, that's a whole thing that's becoming a thing.
Yeah, which I think is so interesting because like it's all starting right
Yeah,
now. And
because Bianca, like I had my one-on-one with Bianca yesterday. She was like, "Yeah, I'm learning to like put the prompts into the copywriting software that we're using," and she was like, "I'm testing out different AI softwares and platforms." And I was like, "Shit, Bianca, you're becoming like a AI prompter without realizing it." And she was like, "Oh yeah, I am."
That's
Like,
cool.
but that is the next phase of things right now. Like agencies should have an AI prompter. Like companies as a whole should have an AI prompter. You cannot get behind on the 8 ball on this.
Yeah.
You got to have those individuals that understand AI technology as a whole, and make sure you're spending some sort of budget and focusing on that in 2024, because we certainly are. We've been focused on tech for so long, since our inception, 6 years ago. But
which I think is so interesting too, because like with knowing you for almost like 3.5 years now, the technology that you've introduced me to has just increasingly changed and shifted. And it's like I can't think of a specific situation right now, but like how much that you're interested in the technology and like willing to implement it into like your agency so quickly is so cool. And I think it's such a big value that people have or should see whenever they like work with you,
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Hold on. I want to go back to when you mentioned call center because it triggered something.
Yeah.
I think we need a little, not segment, but we need a little thing that pops up when we go on a rant really quick, because you told me about somebody, you opted into something and they called you 4 or 5 times in a row.
Oh yeah.
Can you just touch on that? Because I feel like it's relevant because we talk about, you should be calling people, X amount of times because people are busy. They don't answer. The call center situation, you can add AI into the mix, but there's also just like a level of don't call somebody 5 times in a row. It's disrespectful. And so
right. There's a reason they don't answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like it was just this morning. So like I was on my way here. I won't obviously name the company, but they called me once. I was like, kind of remember who they were, but then I didn't answer. Then they call the second time. I'm okay with the second time because there's a strategy in calling. When you call the first time, sometimes people won't pick up because they think it's spam. But then the second time, like when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah. And then I was like, I did opt into this company, but I was like, I can't talk right now. So like, I was like, maybe I'll reach out to them later or text them or whatever, right? I think that's what a normal person thinks. I don't know. Yeah. I could not be normal.
Because caller ID is on most things, especially businesses.
But then they called the third time and I was like, why are they calling me the third time? And then they called me again and I still didn't answer. Like the 5th time, like I answered. But the point with that is like, there is a way to follow up with people. I think that's what you're trying to get at, right? Like, I think it's annoying that somebody calls you 4 times, actually 5 times, because there's a reason they didn't answer the first 2 times.
Were you hanging up or were you letting it go to voicemail? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think twice I let it go to voicemail. So like the fact that they didn't get the hint, like I can't talk right now, you know what I mean? Yeah. For whatever reason, is kind of absurd to me. But I mean, we harp on like, hey, having 7 to 12 touch points now.
Not in 30 seconds.
Yeah, and these touch points aren't just phone calls though. And I ran through this, and I'm not going to run through it all again. But like, you do a phone call, you do a text, you do an email, you do maybe a DM messaging. Like, sure, you can reach out to them, but like, why call them like 5 times in a row within like 60 seconds? That makes no sense.
People are strange, but
yeah.
Which kind of leads me to something else that I know you wanted to talk about today is every agency is built differently, right?
Yes.
There's no parameters to being a digital marketer.
Absolutely
and
not.
As you are growing in
I just wanted to drop the F-bomb, but I was like, no, I'm going to be good today.
As Valiant's growing, you're working with clients who have run ads themselves before, or they've worked with agencies that have run ads before. How do you navigate that, working with another agency?
Yeah. I think most agencies or just businesses in general, depending on what they're in, they'll come across clients that want to work with them that's already actually doing what they're trying to hire you to do, or they're working with another partner and trying to do what they're trying to bring you on to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they're already trying to do the thing. So in our situation, it's like digital marketing, right? So I mean, it's just recent, and I've ran across this like situation multiple times. And it's typically that when people come to us, like big organizations come to us or medium-sized organizations come to us, they're running digital campaigns by themselves, or they have a partner that's running it, but they're not getting the results that they want. And what does that mean? It could be a lot of different reasons. It could be the fact that they don't have the data of the people that they should get in front of running the campaign. So their content is on point, right? Like their video is good, their graphics good, everything's on point in terms of content, but then they don't have the data. Or their content is good and they do have the data, but then they're not setting up the right ads, meaning like they're not using all the tools and resources available in one platform. For example, like inside LinkedIn, they could just be doing a traffic ad, but then they're not running conversion-based ads. They're not running lead generation ads. They're not doing video view ads or post engagement ads, which is insane. So, yeah. So that could be that. Or they're doing all of that. So they're actually running the right campaigns and they're using the right content. They have the right data, but they're not tracking anything and they're not retargeting anybody. So it's almost like running a traditional marketing campaign on digital and saying, I'm just going to run this ad in front of you one time and then that's it. But now in this situation that I'm about to share with you, they were telling our clients like, hey, yeah, we're running digital, but they're not getting like, they're barely getting any leads. So like I kind of look under the hood, but there is no hood because I looked underneath there and there's no engine. There's no tires, there's no car, there's no seats. I mean, like, it's like, imagine building a car. Like if we build, let's say a Lamborghini as a digital marketing funnel, what they brought to the table is one tire to the table to build a Lamborghini.
And you can see this because when anyone runs an ad on like Facebook or LinkedIn, like any one person can go to their page and like see the ads are running, right?
Yes, you can. I think this, look, I'm not talking shit about the agency. They're just not a digital marketing agency. They're a brand focused traditional marketing agency. Nothing wrong with that. And if you want to get into digital, I think that's fine too. But the problem is like, you're telling the clients you're doing it and then, they're misguided. I think whoever is in charge there, they're misguiding their team members also to think that they're running digital, but they're not. So in this situation, they're not using the right content. They're not using the right videos. Their copy alone is just short copy, meaning that they're not using long copy or bullet point copies or variations of different copy. They're only running one type of ad, which is the traffic ad. So they're missing lead generation ads, video view ads, post engagement ads, conversion-based ads. They're also not using the right data. They're also sending the traffic only to one place and giving the person or the potential leads on the other side only one place to go if they click on the ad, which is very limiting. So like there's so much friction in that campaign and they're not using all the platforms that they should be running. So like if I share with you what a funnel looks like here at Valiant, and let's say, our funnel is 100% whole, right? They're only doing 5% of what we would do. That makes sense?
Yeah, the visual that I just had in my mind is like in the Mario Wonder, whenever you start unlocking more pieces of the puzzle and the clouds start to go away, like there's more funnel underneath there.
So they're doing only one step of like, if there's 100 steps, they probably did 5 steps that we would do. But look, again, some of these things you just don't know. Right. You don't know what you don't know. So you don't have the right person in place building these ads. But the disappointing part when I run into situations like this is that the client like loses out. You know what I mean? The client's losing out on their ad money. The client is losing out on time. So it's a loss for the client, So like those are things that I really take into consideration. And, our approach is like one of collaboration, right? So like we want to collaborate with these type of organization, but a lot of times we just find that because like we're coming in and the client's bringing us on because they couldn't get the work done properly or deliver the results that the client's looking for, they tend to have their arms up and they're not very collaborative,
Like defensive?
Yeah, very defensive for sure. And I ran into that just this past week, so. Yeah, it is what it is.
After you had shared that situation with me originally, I started to think about some of I've done my own research on different marketing agencies and ran into a few different ones that have started to implement digital. Mm-hmm. And as I was just looking through some of their content, I realized, or I making the assumption that there's some really successful traditional marketing agencies out there.
Yes, very successful.
That have recognized, we need to implement digital. And they did that very surface level. Okay, we put the ad out there. Now we are a digital marketing agency. And haven't really, like you're talking about, haven't gone into the depth that we do because that is our sole focus. And that is where we're successful. We could touch, traditional if we wanted to and just send out some mailers and say, we do it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean we're the expert in it,
Yeah. And I'm not knocking this agency. It's like they have to realize you're just not doing it at a level people that it needs to get done by.
Yeah.
You're not delivering results. I think that's my biggest like thing when I come in, when I'm put into situations of like, hey, we're running digital and here's the agency that we're using or the vendor or the team that's creating it. Like it's hard for me sometimes, and it's challenging. Like, how do I navigate this, and how do I share like what you're supposed to be doing without making them feel like shit?
Yeah.
And sometimes there's no other way, especially if they come, like when you're having a conversation, like this particular, place told me like, oh, we're already doing what you're doing. But then I look at the ads. I don't think they even know that we have the ability to look at the ads that they've launched.
And we
on
means
behalf
anyone.
of our client. Yeah.
Anyone.
Well, 90% of the population probably doesn't know that you can do that.
But they could go access it.
Yeah, they could go access it. Yeah. So like the reason I know they're not doing anything properly is because they're not tracking. We went to the client's website to see if there's pixels there. There's no pixels. Which is the tracking thing. If you don't know what a pixel is, there's no pixels there to track for retargeting. I sure know that they're not using UTM links to track anything. These are just like basic stuff. If you're just a true digital marketer, these are just basic things that I'm talking about. That should be in a campaign. But what a lot of times we're, traditional based agencies that are trying to switch to digital, which I think is great because you gotta revamp your business, right? So I'm all for that. But a lot of times what I find is the people that are in charge and that are making the decisions to run digital, because they don't know digital, the wrong person is hiring the wrong person to build the campaigns. Because how do you know who to hire if you never ran it yourself? Like, how do you know who to hire? Because most people, if they don't do it themselves, they don't know who to hire. It's just the way it is in this marketing world. And things just change so fast. So like they're hiring the wrong people. The wrong person is making the hiring. So what ends up happening because of that is they take traditional methodologies and strategies and applies it to the digital platforms. Yeah. So what I saw with this particular campaign is they took traditional methodologies and messaging and just copied and pasted it and put it on digital marketing platforms like LinkedIn, Meta, and wherever else. And that doesn't resonate. Digital marketing and social media ads are completely different from traditional marketing. You get to tell a story through digital marketing with videos. And it blows my mind. There is no video ads that are very specific to storytelling for this campaign. I could go on and on.
Yeah. And very different from traditional marketing. You can follow people with your marketing. You can retarget
Creepy as it
them.
sounds, yes.
Yeah, you can follow people. You can figure out where they go, so you can always be there. And in traditional marketing, that's a no.
Yeah. By the way, look, if anybody's listening, like I'm all about collaboration. The reason we are where we are is because we partnered with great people, great organizations. We've been given a lot of different opportunities. So like, I don't want anybody thinking like listening to this, like, anything, but like, look, it's hard sometimes.
We had to learn from people. Yeah. We had to learn from people who knew more or better or other stuff than us, because I mean, that's all like even research is. A podcast I listened to this morning was talking about the thoughts that one researcher has or scientist has started from another researcher that had to get to that point, and then you can build upon it. So I don't know if this ties well, but like, there's this quote that I've been living by, right? It kind of ties into partnerships or like being open-minded, I think. But there's this quote by Zig Ziglar that I've listened to, and I read a lot of his books. I think I really actually read like 2 of his paperback books and listened to audiobooks. But he states that the quickest way to achieve what you want in life is to help as many people achieve what they want in life. Oh. Yeah. So, I mean, if you just break it down, it's like, if you're able to help 5 people, that's the kind of value that you're adding to the world. And then your reward usually reflects that. If you're helping 50 people, then your value is that. And then what your reward is in life is a reflection of that. So like, let me put finances on it. If you help 5 people at charging them $1,000, you make $5,000. But then if you help 50 people in the same situation, because you're solving 50 people's challenges in different ways with the skill sets that you bring to the table, then you make $50,000 a month. You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
So the quickest way to achieve what you want in life is to help as many people achieve what they want in life with, and I'll add this to it, with the skills and the value that you're able to generate and bring to the table.
I think that's a good note to end on right there.
Look at me, boy.
Anything else you want to add before we wrap up? I think that was a perfect way to end it.
Nope. That is it. Yeah.
Well, as always, if any of our Valiantpreneurs, old or new, are out there and have some topics or questions, thoughts that you want us to talk about on another episode, you can email us at hello@valiantdigital.com.
Until next time.
Bye.